Hey everybody, my name is Christopher Arkand with Wolf Totem Drafting Services, and I've been working in the oil and gas industry for just over 15 years. And one of the questions I get asked all the time is, how do I learn AutoCAD or CADWorks? And if you're like me, what is drafting and why are you doing this? And the truth is, when I first started, I had absolutely no AutoCAD experience and I didn't even know what AutoCAD was. There weren't many step by step resources available in my community, especially for the type of drafting we do in the oil and gas industry. My first employer sent me to a night course after I'd been with the company for about 2 months, give or take. But beyond that, most of what I learned came through years of trial and error and working with people with experience. So that's exactly why I started this series. And whether you're brand new to drafting, you're a student, or you're looking to break into the oil and gas industry, I'm going to walk you through everything from the fundamentals of AutoCAD and CADWorks to creating real world skid packages, piping layouts, structural drawings, isometrics, and fabrication details. We'll take it one step at a time using practical examples and real projects, the same kind of drawings you'll encounter in the industry. So if that sounds something that you'd like to learn, let's dive into AutoCAD. So when you turn on AutoCAD, it's going to look a little different than what I've got open. It's going to be similar, but different. So right now I have CADWorks Structure open on my computer. So it runs off AutoCAD. CADWorks is just a plugin for AutoCAD for 3D modeling that I use. So one of the first things we're going to do first is we're going to right click with our mouse and go to options. Here you're going to find a lot of different things that you can play with. Files, types, displays, open, save, pop, publish, blah, 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 everything else. Your background might look a little different than mine. And if you want to go with a black background where it feels nice on the eyes, in my opinion, this is where you go to colors here in the display tab. And you're going to want to play with these here. So as you can see, I have mine in black. If you want, you can change it to anything else. Blue if you want to, which I feel like that's a little hard on the eyes. So we'll change it back to black. And yeah, that's how we would change our display. So before you draw, another thing you're going to want to do is figure out what kind of standard you're going to draw into. With me, everything I do is metric. So I want to make sure that I'm drawing in millimeters because that's what we use when we're doing any sort of welding fabrication. So on our computer, we're going to type units and hit enter. It's going to give us drawing units. So we can change the type of what we want. We could do architectural, decimal, engineering, fractional, scientific. I always use decimal with a precision. You can change this to how precise you want to be on your drawing. For fabrication, I usually do it to the nearest hundredth. You can change your units here to how you want to work in. If you want, you can work in parsecs or light years. But for now, like I said, we're doing fabrication drawings. We're going to work in millimeters. So we're going to hit OK. Now the next step, what we're going to want to do is we're going to draw a circle. So for us to draw a circle in AutoCAD, we're going to want to hit C on our keyboard and we're going to want to hit enter. It's going to ask us now to specify the center point for our circle. So I want to have our center point on here at 0, 0, 0. And it's going to send us over here. So why do I have it at 0, 0, 0? So in AutoCAD, I like to refer to this as our absolute zero. So if we go to our southwest isometric view, if you remember some basic math, this will give us our XYZ axis. So if you want to put things in kind of layman's terms, we can do length, width, height. So when we start here, this could be our reference point. It's great for detailing when you're using things such as your ordinate dimension, which we will talk about later when we get into detailing things. Um, it's also good just to have a general reference point. When you're doing construction, you're going to want to have some sort of reference point or a datum. And when you're doing your modeling, 0, 0, 0 works wonderfully. You'll also find sometimes instead of doing this, people will do in the hundreds of thousands will be the height. So you'll see like 100,300, and you're going 300 is going to be usually like the top of like a pile cap, which is sounds really weird that I'm already talking about construction when we're just drawing lines and circles. So we'll get further into that as we progress through the series and go into more detail. But for now, we're going to go back into our top view. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to draw a line. So our line is L. I'm going to hit enter, and we're going to want to snap it to the center of our circle. Just draw it out. Now when we're done, we're going to want to hit escape, because if we don't, it's going to want us to continue drawing lines, and we don't want that for right now. So every time you do a command, make sure you hit escape. We're going to draw another line, and we're going to snap to here, to the base of that other line, and we're going to draw it past here. We're not worried about measurements or anything right now. We're just going to draw lines just outside of our circle. So if you run into the issue where you're not snapping or moving in the directions you want, we have our settings down here on the bottom of the screen. Let me just right click on one of these. So we'll right click on this funny thing. Oh, I don't know why it's not letting me right click. Here, I'll go to here and go to just tracking settings. This is going to be our polar tracking. I have it set to increment angles of 30 degrees. You can play around with these settings, but the reason why I went into here is to show you primarily the object snap. So you can turn on and off your snapping. I like to play with endpoint, midpoint, center, quadrant, intersection, extension, perpendicular, and tangent. And then for 3D object snap, I like to use vertex, midpoint on edge, center of face, and perpendicular and node. Sometimes I play around with the other ones, adding in nearest and all that. I try not to play with apparent intersection at all, because I've had a case years ago where I was drawing something and I was doing 3D modeling, and I used that, and I was in a top view, and I snapped to somewhere random on the page. So it's always good to make sure you're reviewing your work as you go and saving as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to, when you're doing any project, it's also great to save as much as possible. So you can always use your toolbars up here to save as, or you can just do your Control S. So we're going to go and put this and call this, we'll call this project 1. This is what we're going to call this one. All right, now that we got project 1 saved, let's continue on. So now we drew a couple lines and a circle. The other thing we're going to finish off on this video for right now is we're going to use 2 more commands that we're going to learn. We're going to use the trim command. So we're going to type in TR for trim. And trim is a fun command because it can trim off excess lines. So if we want, we can trim these lines that are sticking outside the circle here. And if we want, we can make Pac-Man. When we're done trimming, we can go to escape, enter a command. And if we make a mistake, you know what we can do? That's super easy. We can type U, and that helps us undo. So we'll hit enter, and it does that. If you only want to do a little bit at a time, and let's go back to our trim and say we just want to do that and leave it like this, we're fine with doing that. It's good to do that and instead of multiple at once, because sometimes what you'll have is sometimes you'll get something done along the way and you'll realize, oh, I made a mistake, and you undo everything that you just undid, even though maybe it was a point or two. So sometimes you want to hit that escape, undo again, or not undo, trim, and continue on. And then lastly, to end this video, we're going to do mirror. So we're going to take these lines and we're going to convert it into a cross. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to here and go mirror, hit enter, and oh shit, yeah, it's not going to work doing that way. But you can mirror anyways. But right now, I'm going to do that. And I'm going to erase that because I don't want those ones. Now I want to make Pac-Man on this side over here. I know it's not really Pac-Man, but I don't know. I'm old and I like old video games. But yes, so those are the basics that we learned. So we learned how to draw a circle. Going back here, we'll delete everything to draw our circle once again. C for circle, enter, go 0, 0, 0, give us to our absolute 0. Then we hit escape. We're going to draw a line. And we're going to go to the center here to draw out. Hit escape. If we want to repeat a command, all we have to do is hit our spacebar and it'll give us back our line command instead of typing L again. And we're back to where we pretty much started with this. Thank you everybody for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.